Must we truly break ourselves just to bloom? We all wear this heavy armor every single day, and it's forged by this quiet, kind of desperate belief that to succeed in this world, we absolutely must fight it. We have to force it. We have to literally exhaust ourselves against it. Well, today, we're going to gently dismantle that armor. We're going to find our natural rhythm again.
Welcome to This Explainer, the river of consciousness, healing the myth of the hustle. Think of this not just as your standard analysis, but really as an inward journey, a soothing balm for the mind, if you will. Together, we're going to unlearn the toxic myth of relentless hard work, and we'll shed that stubborn illusion that suffering is somehow the only path to the light. Through the steps we'll explore today, we're navigating toward a deeper, much more receptive understanding of our own nature, a profoundly kinder way to live.
Just listen to the deafening noise of our modern culture. You just have to put in 80 to 100 hours every week. This improves the odds of success. We are told this relentlessly. It's a chilling command, really. It's this purely mechanical pressure demanding our total exhaustion as the price of admission. And the tragedy is, we internalize this punishing voice. We start to believe our worth actually depends on our capacity to endure pain. But living this way, it's like planting a garden in arid, cracked earth. It silently but surely drains our vital sap.
But here is the proven, unforgiving reality: 50. Science shows us that after exactly 50 hours of productive focus, our human capacity just plummets, off a cliff. The absolutely crucial point here is that our energy is not some inexhaustible industrial machine. It's a living, breathing ecosystem. It flows like a river, and if you force the current beyond what nature intended, well, the river runs dry. The jagged stones appear. The riverbed simply cracks under the pressure. And look at what grows in this cracked earth. It's a withering garden. Sleep deprivation sets in. Our brilliant minds face a slow cognitive decline. Those vital social connections just dissolve into silence. Our most precious relationships fracture and eventually fail. And our bodies, they age prematurely under the crushing weight of all this constant stress. This is the heartbreaking physical and spiritual price of ignoring our own organic wisdom. Pushing endlessly past our natural limits doesn't elevate us. It withers us from the inside out.
So this brilliantly illustrates the root of our daily suffering. We are constantly torn between the mechanical push and the organic flow. On one side, we have this harsh industrial mindset, swimming upstream, striking against the rocks, hoping we can somehow tame them with brute force. But on the other side, that's the gentle, patient, yielding art of living in flow. This is a profound invitation for us to step off the battlefield and actually embrace the harmony of life's natural cycles.
Which brings us to a deeply liberating therapeutic concept: surrender. The act of yielding to the natural current of life, releasing the need to force outcomes, and allowing a deeper intuition to guide your actions. Let's be clear, this is not an act of weakness, it's definitely not laziness, and it's certainly not giving up. Surrender is the magnificent courage to yield to the natural current of existence. It's releasing that anxious need to force and control every single outcome. At its core, surrender is an immense act of self-compassion.
So, let's ask ourselves a really vital question. What if success isn't a brutal, binary choice between destroying yourself with work or completely abandoning your dreams? What if, instead, it's an exploration, a gentle descent into the deeper, richer, and calmer waters of your own psyche?
Let's map out this great healing journey. We have the 4 depths of consciousness. Think of this as traveling from the turbulent surface all the way down to the peaceful ocean floor. First, we have the physical grind of the shallows. Then, the soothing leverage of the stream. Next, the profound surrender of the deep river. And finally, the state of grace, the ocean itself. It's a slow, beautiful metamorphosis toward the light.
So, let's start at depth 1, the physical grind, the shallows.
Swimming upstream against the current of life. This is where most of us take our first steps into adult life, right? And sadly, it's where our conditioning often keeps us holding our breath for years. At this most basic level of awareness, we actually believe pain is our only weapon. We think sacrifice and punishing effort are the only ways to survive the winter. So we swim vigorously, almost desperately, upstream. We fight with all our might against the natural movement of our own lives. And operating at this rudimentary state demands colossal energy. It is heavy, draining work. It's the ego clenching its jaw, fighting the universe, accumulating deep fatigue in our bones, all while believing it's doing the exact right thing.
Then we move to depth 2, the mind's leverage, the stream.
Learning the tools to float and doing more with less effort. Thankfully, we have the power to soften our gaze. We can descend to the second level. Here, that heavy armor of ice finally begins to melt. We start to heal from the culture of hyperproductivity. We learn to float. Instead of fighting bare-handed against the rapids, we adopt new inner tools. We actually start listening closely to our biological rhythms. And we discover, often with this beautiful surprise, that we can do so much more with far less destructive effort. We stop breaking ourselves against the rocks, and we finally begin to collaborate with the water.
Next is depth 3, the surrender of ambition, the deep river.
Your old goals melt away. You are tapped into a deeper well. By cultivating that space of peace, we glide into a profound psychological and spiritual reality. Honestly, this is a space many human beings travel their entire lives without ever knowing exists, just because it's muffled by the outside noise. But at this stage of healing, our rigid ambitions dissolve like snow in the sun. The goals dictated by a fear of missing out, by anxiety, by the desperate need to prove our worth, they vanish. You no longer try to force your destiny. You just let yourself be carried by a vast, universal, and infinitely kind presence.
Which brings us to depth 4, the state of grace, the ocean.
Becoming the water, moving effortlessly, blessed by synchronicity and grace. This journey leads us to the ultimate state of flow, the infinite horizon. Here, the transformation is absolute. You don't just swim in the water, you become the water. People who operate from this space navigate with an ease that seems almost miraculous to the rest of the world. They move effortlessly. They truly seem blessed by synchronicity and grace. They achieve extraordinary impact, yet they never spill a single drop of sweat born from anxiety. This is abundance in its most natural, flowing expression.
We do not need to fight the river. We only need to realize we are part of it. If you take away just one truth from this explainer, let it be this. The true fruitfulness of our existence, the most authentic impact we can possibly have, is born from raising our consciousness and calming our minds. It is never born from the endless punishment of our bodies. You are inherently valuable exactly as you are, without having to break yourself to prove it.
So, how do we anchor this wisdom into our daily lives? Here are a few gentle keys to help you find your flow. First, observe where you feel heavy or forceful. Look at those areas with the kind curiosity of a friend. Second, when you hit that 50-hour cliff we talked about, offer yourself the tenderness of a real pause. Literally, take a breath. Third, ask yourself honestly in moments of stress, am I swimming upstream right now, or am I floating? And finally, soften your grip. Finger by finger, loosen your hold on the rigid outcomes you try so hard to control. Just let life breathe through you.
To close this inward journey, I want to leave you with a question to hold quietly in your heart. Where in your life can you stop fighting the current today? Allow the poetic current of life to carry you toward your own light. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.